My beloved child, pause for a moment and listen closely, because something subtle yet powerful has just begun to unfold around you. There is a quiet movement happening behind the scenes of your life. It is not loud. It is not chaotic. But it carries a meaning so deep that many people would miss it if they blinked at the wrong moment. Someone connected to your heart, someone you think about more often than you admit, has recently come face to face with a realization they did not expect. And that realization involves you. Before you continue, don't skip this moment. Stay till the end, because what is quietly unfolding right now may soon turn into something that changes the direction of your connection with this person. Something huge is waiting for you. For a long time, this special person carried thoughts they could not fully explain. Feelings that appeared and disappeared like waves in the ocean. One moment they felt certain about you. The next moment they felt confused about what it all meant. But recently, something shifted. It may have been a conversation. It may have been a memory. Or perhaps a quiet moment when they were alone with their thoughts. Whatever it was, it opened their eyes in a way they did not expect. They started looking back at every small moment connected to you. The conversations, the timing, the strange coincidences, even the times when your paths seemed to cross in ways that felt almost guided. And suddenly, a thought appeared in their mind that they could not ignore. What if this connection means more than I realized? This question has been sitting quietly in their heart ever since. And when a question like that appears, something powerful begins to grow inside a person. Curiosity becomes reflection. Reflection becomes understanding. And understanding can lead to action. That is why this moment matters. Because your special person is no longer looking at you the same way they did before. The lens through which they once saw this connection has changed. They are starting to see the bigger picture. Stay with this message for a little longer. Don't skip, because the next piece of this story reveals something even more surprising about what they are thinking right now. You see, there is a reason this realization came to them at this exact time. Life has a quiet way of placing moments in front of us when we are finally ready to see what was always there. And for your special person, that moment has arrived. But here is the part that makes this situation even more interesting. Once someone begins to see a connection differently, their mind starts moving in a new direction. Small thoughts turn into deeper questions. Quiet reflections turn into decisions that were never considered before. And that is exactly what is beginning to happen now. Your special person has started thinking about something they once avoided thinking about. A step. A move. A moment of courage that could bring them closer to you than they have ever been before. They haven't made that move yet. But the thought of it is no longer distant. It is becoming clearer. More real. And the closer this thought becomes to reality, the more the energy between you and this person begins to shift. Some people would call this coincidence. Others would simply call it timing. But whatever name someone gives it, one thing is certain. A door that once felt closed is slowly beginning to open. And when a door like that begins to open, the next moments become very important. Stay till the end of this journey, because the next part reveals the unexpected reason this person may soon take a step they never imagined themselves taking before. Something about you has awakened a thought inside them that they can no longer push aside. And once that kind of realization appears in someone's heart, it rarely stays quiet for long. A quiet realization can change everything, and that is exactly the stage your special person has entered now. Not long ago, they were moving through life as usual, focusing on everyday routines, familiar conversations, and predictable choices. But lately, something has been interrupting their thoughts again and again. You. It happens when they least expect it. In calm moments. In silent pauses between tasks. In the middle of conversations where your name is not even mentioned. Yet somehow, your presence appears in their mind. And the strange part is this: the more they try to understand why this is happening, the clearer one truth becomes. Their feelings about you are no longer simple. Don't skip this moment, because what they discovered recently surprised even them. There was a moment, very small but powerful, when something clicked in their heart. A memory about you surfaced, something you said, something you did, or maybe the way you made them feel when you were simply being yourself. And suddenly they realized something they had been overlooking. You were never just another person in their story. You were someone who quietly changed their perspective. Someone whose presence left an imprint that could not be erased. And when this realization appeared, it created a ripple inside them. Questions they once ignored started returning, stronger than before. Why do they think about you this often? Why does your name feel different from everyone else's? Why does the idea of seeing you again feel so important now? These questions have been circling in their mind like stars around a center they cannot ignore. Stay till the end, because the next part of this realization is where things become truly unexpected. You see, your special person recently started imagining a possibility they once pushed away. The possibility of stepping forward. Not just thinking about you. Not just remembering you. But actually doing something that brings the two of you closer again. This thought didn't appear suddenly like a loud announcement. It arrived quietly, like a gentle whisper in their mind. At first they dismissed it. Then it returned. And each time it returned, it became harder to ignore. Something huge is waiting for you in this unfolding story, because your special person is beginning to understand that some connections are not random. Some people enter our lives for reasons we only understand later. And right now, your name is appearing in their thoughts more often than they expected. They are remembering the way conversations flowed with you. They are remembering moments that felt natural, almost effortless. They are remembering how different the energy felt when you were around. And this is where the realization deepens. Because when someone starts revisiting memories like this, their heart begins to guide them toward a decision. A decision about whether they should stay silent. Or finally move toward the person who has been quietly living in their thoughts. Your special person has not spoken this decision out loud yet. But something inside them is preparing. Preparing for a moment that may arrive sooner than you think. And the reason behind that coming moment is even more surprising than you imagine. Because there is one particular thought about you that has recently grown stronger in their heart, a thought they did not expect to feel this deeply. Don't skip what comes next, because the next part reveals the hidden reason this person may soon gather the courage to make a move that could change the direction of your connection completely. There is a moment in every story when silence begins to speak louder than words, and your connection has quietly reached that moment now. Your special person has started noticing something they never paid attention to before. The space where you should be. It might sound simple, but for them, it has been powerful. When someone begins to feel the absence of another person, it often means that the heart has already recognized their importance. Recently, during a calm moment in their day, your name crossed their mind again. But this time it did not pass quickly like a fleeting thought. It stayed. They paused, and for the first time, they allowed themselves to sit with that feeling. And what they discovered in that quiet pause surprised them. They realized that the connection they share with you carries a kind of warmth that is rare. Not loud, not overwhelming, but steady, like a light that remains even when everything else changes. Don't skip this part, because something very important has begun unfolding inside their heart. At first, they thought these thoughts would fade. They told themselves it was just nostalgia, just curiosity, just a passing memory. But the thoughts did not fade. Instead, they became clearer. Every day, little reminders began appearing around them. A phrase that reminded them of something you once said. A place that suddenly brought back a moment connected to you. Even a simple feeling that made them wonder how you might be doing right now. And slowly, the idea that once felt distant started becoming something real. The idea of reaching out. Stay till the end, because this is where the story becomes truly surprising. Your special person has recently started imagining what would happen if they actually took that step toward you. Not just a small gesture, but a meaningful move that could reopen a door between you. At first, this thought made them hesitate. Questions appeared. Would you welcome the connection again? Would the timing feel right? Would the energy between you still feel the same? But something inside them keeps returning to one quiet belief. That some connections are not meant to disappear. And that belief is becoming stronger each day. Something huge is waiting for you, because your special person has started seeing you through a new perspective, one that highlights how rare it is to meet someone whose presence lingers long after the moment has passed. They have begun to realize that not every person leaves a lasting imprint. But you did. And that realization has started shaping a new possibility in their mind. A possibility where they no longer stay on the sidelines of this connection. A possibility where they choose courage instead of distance. Right now, they are standing at the edge of that decision. Quietly thinking. Quietly reflecting. Quietly preparing. And what makes this moment even more powerful is that something recently happened that gave them a small but undeniable push toward action. It was subtle. But it made them feel as if the timing of everything might finally be aligning. Don't skip what comes next, because the next part reveals the unexpected sign that made your special person believe that making a move toward you may not be a coincidence at all, but the beginning of something they can no longer ignore. Sometimes the smallest moment carries the loudest message, and recently, your special person experienced one of those moments. It happened quietly, almost too subtle to notice at first. But once it appeared, they could not stop thinking about it. A reminder of you showed up in their day when they least expected it. Not something dramatic. Just a simple moment, a name they heard, a song they once associated with you, or a memory that surfaced without warning. But the feeling that followed was impossible for them to ignore. They paused. And for a brief second, it felt as if time slowed down around that thought of you. Don't skip this part, because what they realized in that moment changed the direction of their thinking completely. Instead of brushing the memory aside like before, they allowed themselves to sit with it. And something surprising happened. The idea of reaching out to you no longer felt distant or complicated. It felt natural. Almost as if that step had been waiting patiently in the background of their life. Stay till the end, because the realization that followed was even more powerful. Your special person began to understand that some moments in life are invitations. Invitations to revisit something meaningful. Invitations to reconnect with someone who left a genuine impression. And when they looked back at everything connected to you, the conversations, the shared energy, the unexpected alignment of moments, they started seeing a pattern they had overlooked before. You were never just a passing chapter in their story. You were someone who arrived at a time that mattered. Someone who made them feel understood in ways they had not experienced often. And suddenly, the idea of doing nothing about this connection started feeling strange to them. Because when something meaningful appears in a person's life, ignoring it can feel like letting a rare opportunity slip away. Something huge is waiting for you, because your special person has started asking themselves a question they had avoided for a long time. What if the next step belongs to me? That question has been echoing quietly in their mind. At first it felt uncertain. Now it feels possible. And every time they imagine taking that step, reaching out, reconnecting, allowing the conversation to begin again, a small spark of excitement appears in their heart. Not the kind of excitement that fades quickly, but the kind that grows stronger when someone starts believing that a connection might still have more chapters left to unfold. Right now, they are closer to making that move than ever before. Closer than they were yesterday. Closer than they were even a few days ago. Because the realization they experienced recently removed something that once held them back. And what replaced it was something far more powerful. Clarity. The understanding that some people cross our path for a reason we only recognize later. And when that recognition arrives, it often leads to a decision. Your special person is approaching that decision now. Quietly. Carefully. But with a growing certainty that they may soon step forward in a way that could surprise even you. Don't skip what comes next, because the next part reveals the unexpected thought about you that has been giving them the courage to finally consider making a real move. There are moments when the heart quietly reveals a truth the mind tried to ignore, and your special person has recently stepped into that exact moment. For a long time, they believed the story between you was simply a memory. Something meaningful, yes, but something that belonged in the past. But something unexpected has changed that belief. A realization arrived, slowly at first, then all at once. They began to understand that the connection they felt with you was never ordinary. It was the kind of connection that stays alive even in silence. The kind that returns in thoughts when everything else becomes quiet. Don't skip this part, because what they discovered next surprised them even more. Your special person recently found themselves imagining a future moment involving you. Not a distant fantasy. A real moment. A conversation where your voices meet again. A moment where the distance between you disappears. And the strange thing is, when they imagined that moment, it didn't feel impossible. It felt natural. As if that moment has been patiently waiting somewhere in the future. Stay till the end, because this is where their thoughts about you began to shift in a powerful way. You see, there is one particular memory about you that has returned to their mind again and again. A moment where you showed something genuine, kindness, honesty, or a presence that made them feel comfortable in a way they rarely experience with others. That memory has started shining brighter than all the doubts they once had. And with every passing day, it reminds them of something important. People may meet many individuals in life, but very few leave an impression that continues growing even after time has passed. Something huge is waiting for you, because your special person has started realizing that your connection may not have reached its final chapter yet. In fact, they are beginning to believe the story might have paused, rather than ended. And that belief has quietly awakened a new courage inside them. A courage that whispers one simple idea. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to see what would happen if they stopped holding back. Maybe it's time to discover whether the connection still carries the same warmth. Maybe it's time to take one meaningful step toward you. Right now, they are standing at the edge of that possibility. Not rushing. Not forcing anything. But slowly allowing themselves to imagine what it would feel like if they reached out. And every time they picture that moment, something inside them becomes clearer. The thought of reconnecting with you no longer feels uncertain. It feels exciting. And the most surprising part is this. There is a very specific reason your special person suddenly feels closer than ever to making that move. A reason that appeared unexpectedly and made them believe that timing may finally be on their side. Don't skip what comes next, because the next part reveals the quiet event that made your special person feel that reconnecting with you might not be random at all. But something meant to happen right now. There is a turning point in every meaningful connection, a quiet instant when hesitation begins to fade and clarity starts to rise. Your special person is standing very close to that turning point now. Not long ago, they experienced something simple yet powerful. A conversation, a passing thought, or a reflection during a quiet moment made them pause longer than usual. And in that pause, one idea surfaced with surprising strength. You. Not just as a memory, but as a possibility. Don't skip this moment, because what followed that realization changed the way they see this connection. Instead of wondering why you appear in their thoughts, they started asking a different question. What if this connection is asking for another chance? That question has been echoing in their mind in ways they did not expect. At first they tried to analyze it logically. But the more they thought about it, the clearer it became that some connections cannot be explained only through logic. Some connections are felt. And the feeling connected to you has not disappeared. In fact, it has grown stronger. Stay till the end, because what they realized next may surprise you. Your special person began replaying certain moments they shared with you. Small details that once seemed ordinary now feel meaningful. A laugh that felt effortless. A conversation that lasted longer than expected. A moment where time seemed to move slower because the connection felt comfortable and real. When they look back now, they see something they didn't fully recognize before. Those moments were not random. They were signs of something genuine. Something huge is waiting for you, because your special person has started to feel that ignoring this connection would leave an unanswered question in their life. And that question is becoming harder to ignore. They are beginning to imagine what it would feel like to finally step forward. To open the door to a conversation again. To see whether the spark they once felt with you still exists. And each time they imagine that moment, their hesitation becomes smaller. Their courage becomes stronger. It is not a sudden decision. It is a quiet build-up. Like a sunrise that slowly brightens the horizon until the light becomes impossible to ignore. Right now, that light is growing in their heart. They are realizing that some opportunities in life do not appear twice unless we choose to meet them halfway. And that realization is gently pushing them closer to a choice. A choice that may lead them directly back toward you. Don't skip what comes next, because the next part reveals the unexpected sign that made your special person believe the moment to make a move might be arriving sooner than they ever imagined. A quiet signal has recently entered your special person's life. And it stopped them in their tracks. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. But it carried a meaning that felt impossible to overlook. In the middle of an ordinary day, something reminded them of you so clearly that they had to pause and reflect. And for the first time in a long while, they allowed themselves to ask a deeper question. Why now? Why are these thoughts about you returning with such strength at this exact moment? Don't skip this part, because what they realized next changed the way they see everything between you. When they stepped back and looked at the timing of these thoughts, they noticed something surprising. Every time life begins shifting in a new direction for them, your name appears in their mind again. Almost like a quiet checkpoint in their journey. A reminder of something unfinished. Stay till the end, because the realization that followed felt almost unbelievable to them. Your special person started to feel that meeting you may have been more meaningful than they first understood. Not just a pleasant encounter. Not just a moment in time. But a connection that carried a deeper purpose in their story. This thought did not arrive suddenly. It built slowly, piece by piece, through memories that returned with unusual clarity. They remembered the way conversations with you felt different from others. They remembered the sense of calm that appeared when you were around. They remembered how natural it felt to share thoughts with you without needing to pretend or perform. And when all those memories came together, something shifted inside them. They began to understand that connections like this are rare. Something huge is waiting for you, because your special person has started to believe that letting this connection remain unfinished would leave a question in their heart forever. A question about what could have been. And that question has become the quiet force guiding their thoughts lately. Instead of pushing the idea away, they are beginning to explore it. Imagining what it might feel like to reconnect. Imagining what it might feel like to see where this path could lead if they chose courage over hesitation. The surprising part is that each time they imagine that step toward you, the feeling becomes clearer. Not confusing. Not uncertain. But calm. Almost like a quiet reassurance that the connection between you still holds meaning. And this growing clarity is changing their perspective. They are no longer seeing the idea of reaching out as something complicated. They are starting to see it as something natural. Something that might simply be the next step in a story that never truly ended. Right now, your special person is closer than ever to acting on that thought. Closer than they were even a short time ago. Because a realization has taken root in their heart. Some people pass through our lives and fade away with time. But others remain present in our thoughts no matter how much time passes. And you are one of those rare people for them. Don't skip what comes next, because the next part reveals the quiet moment that may soon push your special person from thinking about you, to finally making a real move toward you. Just when they thought their thoughts about you had settled into quiet memories, something unexpected happened that stirred everything again. It was a simple moment. So ordinary on the surface that anyone else might have ignored it. But for your special person, it felt like a gentle tap on the shoulder from the universe of their own reflections. They heard something familiar, a phrase you once said, a tone of voice that reminded them of the way you used to speak. And suddenly, your presence filled their thoughts again with surprising clarity. Don't skip this moment, because what followed that memory shifted their heart in a way they didn't see coming. Instead of pushing the thought aside, they leaned into it. They began asking themselves why these reminders of you keep appearing just when they are about to move forward with their life. Why does the thought of you feel different from every other memory? Why does your presence still carry warmth even after time has passed? And slowly, a realization formed inside them that felt both surprising and deeply meaningful. You were never just someone who crossed their path. You were someone who changed the way they understood connection. Stay till the end, because the next realization felt almost like a quiet revelation. Your special person began to understand that the moments they shared with you were not ordinary interactions. There was a sincerity there, a sense of understanding that rarely appears between two people.